When you talk about the spirit of relentlessness in America, one of the most relentless groups are the leftist media and their leftist Democrat buddies. Though every goose chase against Trump ends with nothing, they hold out hope that they will one day find dirt on Trump. And today that hope is renewed. We have got multiple investigations against Trump, and these guys, I mean, if you look at the breathless headlines today, these people are really amped up again that this may finally be the day that they get Trump. Why are they so thirsty to get this guy? We're going to break down what's going on. We're going to give Trump's response to it all. Time magazine headline: the Letitia James lawsuit may finally nail Trump. The lawsuit filed this week by New York Attorney General Letitia James against Donald Trump may be the legal action that finally holds the former president accountable. That's because of four important words: preponderance of the evidence. What are they trying to hold him accountable for? Let's listen to Letitia James speak today.
And the Trump organization repeatedly and persistently manipulated the value of assets to induce banks to lend money to the Trump organization on more favorable terms than would otherwise have been available to the company, to pay lower taxes, to satisfy continuing loan agreements, and to induce insurance companies to provide insurance coverage for higher limits and at lower premiums. This conduct was all in violation of Executive Law, Section 6312, which gives the Attorney General broad and special powers to go after persistent and repeated fraud and illegality. We show that they violated several state criminal laws, including falsifying business records, issuing false financial statements, insurance fraud, being in a conspiracy to commit each of these state law violations.
Was it a conspiracy, or is Letitia James a conspiracy theorist? Because she's saying he violated laws, but she's not filing charges. She's doing a lawsuit. Interesting. Let's read a little bit more of Time magazine. Trump is under investigation for a variety of alleged misconduct, election fraud in Georgia, financial fraud in Manhattan, his role in the January 6th attack in Washington. But those investigations are all criminal cases, which bring with them the burden of proving guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. In the case filed Wednesday, the standard is the lower one used in civil suits that requires simply proving that the defendant more likely violated the law than not. And for that reason, this issue may be the one that finally holds Trump accountable for misconduct, Time magazine writes. That's right. They have given up pursuing criminal charges against him because nothing is sticking. They can't find enough evidence to actually charge Trump, so they're going with a preponderance of evidence suit instead. Now, Trump responding on Truth Social today, he's got a nice little highlight reel of Letitia James when she was running for office and her real motive for becoming New York Attorney General.
What's fueling my soul right now is Trump.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass.
I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, and then going home.
I know my name personally.
So she campaigned and was elected on the promise of witch hunts against Trump, and Trump saying that this is what it's all about for her. Now she's up for re-election, so she got to come up with some sort of dirt. Meanwhile, crime is running rampant. Cost of living in New York is insane. Her city and state are falling apart, and she's not messing with that. She's messing with witch hunts against Trump. Trump has a lot to say about this on Truth Social. I'll show you his most recent post. He actually lets attorney Kurt Schlichter, if I'm saying his name right, break it all down. And by Trump reposting on every one of this guy's tweets, it's clear that Trump agrees exactly with Kurt on the game plan here. So here's what Trump's going to do against Letitia James. Quote, here's how the New York AG civil lawsuit will go. Once Trump is served, he takes a few weeks to respond. He probably cannot remove the case since there are New York defendants, so no diversity. Now we're in mid-October. He moves to dismiss. I have only skimmed this dog's breakfast for a complaint, but what popped out at me for the parts I looked at were the lack of damages allegations, much less ones against New York, the plaintiff. You cannot sue if you did not suffer a loss. None are pleaded in the parts I looked at. The other causes of action may have damages allegations, we'll see, but there are plenty of other grounds to move to dismiss that just leap off the page. Let's get real. If they thought they had Trump, they would have filed a criminal case, but they have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. A civil suit is a preponderance of the evidence. They had no criminal case. They choose civil fraud to impress dumb people. So the initial motion to dismiss will not be heard before the midterm. The real mission was accomplished by filing suit in time to influence the election, but not so early that this garbage case could be tossed out before the election. I expect the case will be dropped or tossed after a couple of motions to dismiss rounds. Maybe there will be a small piddling settlement that the AG will claim as a victory. It's not a real lawsuit, it's lawfare. And I hope red attorney generals are taking note of the new rules, he writes. And Trump reposted all of that, saying that he agrees with that. Trump retweets our endorsements here. It's interesting talking about damages. Yeah, we just heard from AG James, and she's talking about how wronged New York was because Trump inflated the value of his property when taking out loans. But who was really wronged here? He's saying that his property was worth more than it was. Was anyone wronged? Or does his property value and all the value of his investments continue to grow? They're saying they're not really seeing how anyone actually suffered losses due to James's allegations. Now, Trump reposted a statement from the candidate running against James for Attorney General, candidate Michael Henry. Here's the thing. Trump's actually highlighting the fact that the latest poll that came out just has this Republican candidate for Attorney General actually beating James. It's a really close poll, but he actually beats her in the latest poll. Not looking good for Miss James as she zones in on this witch hunt and lets crime run rampant. Anyway, Michael Henry said, Letitia James and I clearly have different ideas about victims in New York. Letitia James enthusiastically claims that big banks and major insurance companies are the victims in a civil lawsuit against the former president. The real victims are everyday New Yorkers who are suffering from crime crisis, rampant pay-to-play corruption, and skyrocketing cost of living in New York. While Letitia James focuses on being the most political attorney general in the nation, my focus remains on resolving the problems faced by everyday New Yorkers. In this time of great political divide, I believe common sense New Yorkers of all parties agree. Trump has been posting a lot. We've got Newsweek talking about the poll, how Letitia James stands in the poll ahead of her midterm race. And they confirm that this latest poll has the new guy, the Republican, just out edging her in this latest poll, as they start their article saying, in the wake of New York Attorney General Letitia James announcing her $250 million fraud lawsuit against Donald Trump, the former president and his team suggested that she is suing them as part of a re-election strategy. Oh, she's got a big money grab there. $250 million she is trying to grab from billionaire Trump. We've got Politico with another breathlessly ominous headline. The leftist media is very excited this week about Trump. This one says, quote, Trump's legal troubles are mounting. His support is consolidating. The lawsuit filed against him by the New York AG fits a pattern that so far has helped the former president with his political base. The lawsuit filed Wednesday in New York accusing Donald Trump and 3 of his adult children of fraudulent financial practices was met with fresh outrage on the left. Jamie Harrison, the Democratic National Committee chair, suggested with a GIF that New York has produced the receipts on the former president There you go. Yeah, this is the DNC chair. Look what he's tweeting. He's sending out gifts about Trump. Look at this. We got the receipts on you, Trump. You're going down. That's what he sent out yesterday. These guys are so excited. They finally got him. Now, meanwhile, can you believe in the past few years, what's been 6 years now, how many witch hunts there have been, and every single one falls through? Of course, the Russia collusion one was the biggest one. And when Robert Mueller finally went to testify before Congress, it was the most embarrassing thing you have ever seen, with all the media hype for months leading up to that, the Mueller report. And then he sits down before Congress and he can't even formulate a sentence. I mean, this man, his mind was gone, and he's the head honcho of this great almighty Mueller report that's going to take down Trump. And then it all ended up being fake news anyways. Gosh, if you guys did not see Robert Mueller's testimony before Congress, you guys have got to look up the raw video of that. I'm sure the mainstream media probably glazed over it and made him look better than he did. But that man, I mean, his mind was gone 10 times worse than Biden. All right, so ABC News talking about the other witch hunt against Trump. DOJ allowed to resume review of some Mar-a-Lago documents without the special master. This is in regards to the FBI raid back on August 8th.
New developments in the investigations, plural, surrounding former President Donald Trump. A federal appeals court has given the Justice Department the go-ahead to resume its use of classified documents from Mar-a-Lago as part of its ongoing criminal investigation into the former president. The appeals court ruling also narrows the role of the special master who was appointed in this case. It allows the Justice Department to avoid providing that special master with those classified documents. And meanwhile, the former president.
Wow. So the special master, Trump asked for a special master to look at what had actually been snatched by the FBI, all those thousands of documents that the FBI grabbed, and not just documents, but Trump's stuff out of his house, in his wife's room and his kids' room. What did they take? He asked for a special master to review all that, and now judges just ruled that the special master does not get to look at what the Department of Justice deems as classified. So nobody gets to verify that certain things are indeed classified. You have to take the DOJ's word for it. That's what I'm getting from this, is nobody allowed, not even the special master, can look at a document and confirm this is classified. You did have a right to raid Trump. ABC just reported not even the special master can look at certain documents. What the heck is that? But the other thing is, Trump was trying to get, while the special master was reviewing these documents, trying to get the DOJ to cease looking at everything themselves. Because the only thing the DOJ should be looking at is, the area of classified documents. If FBI went in and snatched things that were completely unrelated, Trump was hoping a special master would come in and grab those things and not let the DOJ ever see things that they had no business seeing. The latest ruling is saying the DOJ can continue reviewing all of it while this special master does its review as well. So if they grabbed like super personal stuff that the feds have no business looking at, feds get to look at it anyway right now. That's the latest development on that. So Trump just got, he just lost that latest battle. People are theorizing that the raid originally, tons of people theorized that the raid originally happened August 8th in an effort to hopefully find some dirt on Trump, some sort of evidence about Trump planning January 6th. Yeah, they're saying this was in regards to the National Archives and that, Trump didn't return certain things that were supposed to be classified, but as president, you can declassify stuff anyways. And so that just looks like an excuse But what they really want to do is do a broad sweep grab of all Trump's things to see it sift through and see if something in there might indicate that Trump really did want to plan insurrection, because that's what they're really trying. If they can prove he tried to plan insurrection, maybe they can get him banned from ever running for office again. There was something else really interesting that Trump talked about today that I'm going to show you. Thanks for the super chat, Chris. Keep up the great work, Ivory. Appreciate the support, and that means a lot. Check out everyone's comments. Thanks for chiming in on this important conversation. All right, here's a super important thing that Trump brought up, you guys, in regards to January 6th. Something interesting happened this week. The House passed a bill to prevent efforts to subvert presidential election results. Washington Post reporting this, quote, the House voted Wednesday to pass an electoral reform bill that seeks to prevent presidents from trying to overturn election results through Congress, the first step on such an effort since the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol by a pro-Trump mob seeking to stop the certification of Joe Biden's electoral win. Quote, the bill passed 229 to 203 vote with just 9 Republicans breaking ranks to join Democrats in supporting the measure. None of those 9 Republican lawmakers will be members of Congress next year, either because they lost their primaries or chose to retire. You hear that, guys? How do you know a rhino? When they vote with Democrats. Republicans in name only are people who vote Democrat but call themselves Republican. 9 of those rhinos just exposed themselves in this latest bill being run through the House, but none of them are seeking office again. Either they already got voted out in primaries or they're retiring. So that's a good thing for Republican voters. I mean, that's a win for Republican voters that all 9 of the rhinos are gone in this case. I know there's more rhinos in there, but in this particular case, the 9 rhinos who showed their colors are out in November, or out by the end of this year. So it goes on to say the Presidential Election Reform Act, written by Representatives Liz Cheney and Zoe Lofgren, explicitly cites the Capitol attack as a reason to amend the Electoral Count Act of 1887 to prevent those future unlawful efforts to overturn presidential elections and to ensure future peaceful transfer of presidential power. Right here, we have our Democrat-led House of Representatives working to overturn a federal law that was passed in 1887, the Electoral Count Act. Now, Trump responded to this on Truth Social today and said, quote, the House just passed a bill which prohibits the vice president from doing what all the great Democrat and rhino legal scholars said he couldn't do, quote, under any circumstances, regarding sending election results back to the state legislatures. Remember that? That's what VP Pence was getting pushed to do back on like January 4th, January 5th, 2021. People are saying, Pence, do the right thing. Send this back to the state legislatures. And all these big scholars are saying, oh, you can't do that. He can't even do that. So Trump is truthing this today, saying, if the VP can't do it, then why are they passing legislation saying he can't do it? Because he could have done it and should have, based on the large-scale election anomalies. I'm paraphrasing that to save myself on YouTube. Large-scale election anomalies would have been a different result, Trump says. Republican senators should vote no. So now this legislation goes on to the Senate, which is 50-50 Republican Democrat, with the tiebreaker being Kamala. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But there you go. The fact that they have to pass a bill this week that obliterates a federal law from 1877 proves Trump's point that Pence could have sent it back to the state legislatures back on January 6th, and he was too chicken to do it. You guys remember all the pressure on Pence that day? January 6th was like the biggest burden on Mike Pence's shoulders that morning until the people started to barge into the Capitol and all the pressure got diverted off of Pence. I remember that clearly. Yeah, so very interesting legislation here. And of course the other, there's so many of these witch hunts. The January 6th hearings, they went on hold for a little bit. They wanted to lay low. They were getting boring, so let's lay low. And then we're back. January 6th hearings are back and they're exciting again. Are you going to tune in? We've got our primetime news producer from ABC helping to produce the show to make it more interesting for you guys, because January 6th committee hearings are probably a political ploy to influence you in November. NBC News reporting January 6th committing to hold public hearings next week, resuming again on September 28th as midterms draw near. The House Committee's 9th public hearing scheduled for 1 p.m. Wednesday is the first since late July. So a lot of witch hunts going up against Trump. And let's look at a New York Times article on how this is impacting Trump's polling. Quote, Trump support remains unmoved by investigations, poll finds. The American public's view of former President Donald Trump has remained remarkably stable across a number of different measures in recent months, even as he faces multiple investigations. Yeah, people have, his supporters have seen through a lot. I mean, there's been so many obvious witch hunts, like the whole Russia meddling thing. Like, some of this stuff has been so obvious that Trump supporters have just put their blinders on any investigation against Trump. It's like, oh, we're not phased. That's not going to phase us, because so many of your little witch hunts have been false flags. But the polling, it's interesting. The New York Times Siena College poll of 1,300 people, it shows that most people have an unfavorable view of Trump. 53% of New York Times readers dislike Trump. Well, that's not a surprise. It's actually shocking that 44% would be for Trump, because New York Times is so anti-Trump. And then also they have here Joe Biden would actually in 2024 match up. Joe Biden would beat Donald Trump by 45% to 42%. That's hard to believe. Just economically, looking at how the economy was with Trump and how the economy is with Biden and how the economy impacts every American, it's hard to believe that Biden would beat Trump, but New York Times is saying he would do that. There is a quick update out of Delaware. So Delaware legislature tried to ram some legislation through this summer to pass casting your pick in the election through mail and making it available to everybody. They ran that legislation through, and a judge just ruled that this is unconstitutional. They literally violated Delaware's constitution, where you're supposed to have a serious reason where you have to do this by mail. You can't go in person. More and more states are just doing it where they ship that envelope out to everyone. And Delaware was trying to be one of those states. Well, the judge halted that. Appeal was just filed this week after he halted it. The appeal says that the state's election department can basically, people who have applied to do this by mail, they can continue to preparing those envelopes, getting it ready in case something is decided where, oh, actually the state legislature didn't violate the Constitution. Then it would be all ready to go through mail. So it's in limbo. The case is in limbo right now, but it says here, Vice Chancellor Cook granted a motion by the Department of Elections and Election Commissioner Anthony Albence to stay his ruling pending an expedited appeal to the state Supreme Court, which is scheduled to hear the argument October 5th, coming down to the wire with that election November 8th. Cook said that his stay would allow election officials to process mail-in voting. Okay, that's a word I'm not supposed to talk about on YouTube. YouTube has this flag on me where I'm one of those people that if she's talking about it, she's talking about it in the counter narrative, and we got to take her down. So that's why I just try to talk around this stuff. But basically, the judge was saying that it would be anyone who sends it in through an envelope would be violating the constitutional right of the people who go in person. It's this big ordeal in Delaware, Biden's home state right now. So keep an eye on that. And then just a couple, there's just so much news today. Another update was, there's, another witch hunt against Trump is the Sidney Powell, Trump's former attorney. She has to testify in front of a Georgia grand jury in regards to election shenanigans in Georgia. There's a witch hunt after Trump in regards to the swing state, Georgia, saying that he tried to violate the law there. He that's a state where he tried to find, he told the Secretary of State, can you just find this many votes for me? So he's dealing with that as well. And then there's more updates on microchips. There's an executive order that Joe Biden signed September 12th that kind of flew under the radar. And it has some strange wording in it. Quote, we need to develop genetic engineering technologies and techniques to be able to write circuitry for cells and predictably program biology in the same way in which we write software and program computers. That's Joe Biden's words in his executive order. Well, obviously, Joe Biden didn't write that because he barely knows how to do email when he's like 80 years old. So whoever's pushing this through, people read that as like, okay, you're predictably programming biology, like you're talking about like programming how my brain thinks or what? And then you look at Elon Musk with Neuralink. He wanted to get those brain chips out this year. He's getting frustrated. There's headlines on Elon Musk and him looking for another company or another company to partner with because Neuralink's taking too long. Insider reporting Elon Musk told staff at his brain chip company Neuralink he's frustrated with their slow progress. And we've got this report from The Sun last month, quote, always watching, future criminals could be monitored by chips in their brains, experts claim. Criminals could be tracked and controlled via brain chip monitoring in the future. So this is the problem. I'm reading this from The Sun. And this is why people are leery about this. Like, a brain chip would be so convenient because it could, make me a superhuman. But would governments be able to hack that chip, control you, monitor you, know your every move? And if they decide you're a criminal, like they decided certain people on January 6th were criminals, they can track your every move and control your life. So that people have a lot of concerns with that. Gosh, there was so much I want to talk about. The uproar over DeSantis and suddenly, oh my gosh, it's human trafficking. How dare DeSantis put people on a plane when Joe Biden's been putting people on planes in the darkness of night for months. And you viewers have been sending me the photos of these migrants who sneak across the border via swimming the Rio Grande. Some of their children die because the Rio Grande is deep in areas with fast moving water and rapids. And these parents trying to bring their families to a better life have these little kids who drown. I've covered that as well. Biden takes these people who swim across the Rio Grande. His administration, in partnership with Catholic Charities, stuffs them on airplanes with manila envelopes. You can always tell when it's an illegal migrant. They got the manila envelope saying they don't speak English and all this. You guys have sent me pictures from airports across America. I reported on this. These people have been human trafficked by the Biden administration for months. And suddenly when Ron DeSantis does it, sending them to Martha's Vineyard, all hell breaks loose and he's a trafficker when Biden's been doing it the whole time. This is fascinating, but the low information viewers won't catch on. What up, guys? Okay, I have got to check your comments and call it a wrap. What's up? Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Please like, share, and subscribe, and write a comment below the video when I hang up this live stream, because it helps my algorithm. YouTube's been messing with my algorithm big time. They hid all my comments yesterday for some reason. You had to like resort to even see anything. YouTube's playing games on my channel. So help me out by liking, commenting, and sharing it with your friends. And we will see you tomorrow for Truth Bombs. Lauren Leal is coming back on Truth Bombs. So check it out live tomorrow. We're going to do it a little earlier in the afternoon, I think 3 p.m. Central. So tune in. See you then.